Hi, good morning, everybody. First and foremost, thank you for attending this morning's call, discussing our first half fiscal year 2023 financial results and performance. You can go to slide 2. Initially, I'll discuss, of course, the financial performance for the first half of 2023, and also provide comments on what we anticipate for results through the second half of the year. Secondly, then I'll go through a number of highlights to date for the fiscal year, and also briefly discuss or update on the overall financial outlook of PeptiDream. And then, of course, lastly, we'll be happy to take any questions that any of the attendees may have. So slide 4. Initially on slide 4 is just a description or illustration of our current equity stakes and holdings, as there are no major changes to any of the equity holdings that we have across the portfolio to date. On the left side is, of course, the PDO-Radiopharma, which was acquired in 2022. As everyone is aware, there have been kind of 2 bullet point highlights in regards to the PDO-Radiopharma business, which I'll touch on more in subsequent slides. But one is around the Amyvid product in relation to the Alzheimer's disease. And then, of course, with PDR Pharma, we have a number of in-license discussions ongoing to accelerate the short-term growth of the company and also increase the products that we intend to provide in the Japanese market. Starting on the upper right side of our minor shareholdings, we have at the top Modulus, which is a computational drug discovery company, which we invested, have an equity stake in. Recently, we announced here in early August the nomination of a clinical candidate, the first clinical candidate arising from this collaboration, which is a specific and potent KIT inhibitor, which is exciting news. Modulus is currently searching for partners on this specific program, and we are leading those activities, and we are likely to be in a position to potentially announce something later in the second half of this year in regards to that program. Raised Bio, we have a 5% stake in Raised Bio. As everyone knows, the company based out of San Diego is doing extremely well. We had now in the earlier part of this year announced our second development candidate with Raised Bio, with the target actually disclosed. We had not announced the target or indication for the first development candidate was announced in December of 2022. But for the second candidate that was announced in earlier 2023 was Glypican-3 for liver cancer or hepatocellular carcinoma. And so that program is now in IND enabling studies, and actually Raised Bio has initiated also human imaging trials of that compound. I'll touch on that briefly in a later slide also. We still have a roughly just about 15% stake in PeptiStar, which is a CDMO business that continues to operate as a peptide manufacturer here in Japan. It has also expanded into oligonucleotide API production also, and there's a number of progressing technologies underway at PeptiStar. The other 2 companies on the lower part of the right slide there, PeptiGrowth is with Mitsubishi Trading, a partnership with Mitsubishi Trading, to which we have almost a 40% stake. This is the growth factor business. We've already launched 6 products to date into the market. We're anticipating additional products to be launched here in the second half of 2023. And there's quite a bit of activities, marketing and product development activities underway at PeptiGrowth at current, targeting opportunities in not only regenerative medicine and cell therapies, but also expanding into a variety of lab-grown products, meat products, fish products, etc., of which there is considerable market interest. And Mitsubishi Trading is leading those marketing activities at this time, but we continue to focus on launching more products and have high expectations for this business going forward. The last is around PeptiAid, which of course is a spin-out company working on a COVID-19 therapeutic, which was termed PA001. We had announced, or PeptiAid had announced in the earlier part of this year that had confirmed a favorable safety profile after being tested in clinical research in Japan. And we anticipate actually the start or initiation of a US-based phase 1 safety study in healthy volunteers sometime in the first quarter of 2024. And this effort, the clinical development, has actually recently been funded, financially supported by AMED, which is an exciting advancement, I think, for that effort. Go to the next slide, slide 5. So in the drug discovery and development business, so the company is broken down into 2 business segments at current. The drug discovery and development business, which is largely the PeptiDream business, and then the radiopharmaceutical business, which is largely the PDR radiopharma business. The drug discovery and development business, we are well on track toward meeting the fiscal 2023 forecasts. There have been, I'm not sure I would call them necessarily delays, but we had anticipated some a few deals, say, closing in the second quarter that actually are progressing here until the later half of 2023. One example was the Astellas deal, in fact, that we had anticipated potentially closing in the second quarter, but that was announced here in July. So as everyone is, I think, very much aware, PeptiDream is a company that on the PeptiDream side are certainly financial performance is a little bit up and down from quarter to quarter, but is extremely steady over the annual or yearly spectrum. On the radiopharmaceutical business, we continue to make extreme steady progress in not only maintaining the profitability of that business that we've made profitable since acquiring the company in 2022, but also really creating a stable foundation for future growth of this business. Even in the presence of some headwinds, which we'll touch on, which is largely in relation to the testing demand in Japan not quite reaching pre-pandemic levels. And so for the first half of 2023, the overall revenue of the combined company was 9.426 billion yen. Our forecast for fiscal year 2023 for the year remains at 30 billion yen, and that remains unchanged. The progress rate is written on the right side at 31%, but I think, again, because PeptiDream is quite volatile quarter to quarter, I'm not sure this is a kind of a true indication of the likelihood of us meeting this forecast, as we're fully confident that we will reach our intended numbers. Just to break down this a little bit more clearly, on slide 6, we had the new deal with Astellas, as I just mentioned, closed in July here, around the discovery of targeted protein degraders, which is an exciting use and application of macrocyclic peptides with potentially certain advantages over utilizing small molecules in those type of molecules. And so this is a kind of a relatively new drug discovery approach in the context of using macrocyclic peptides to do this. And so we're very excited to initiate this collaboration with Astellas. We expect additional new deals. So that's listed here as roughly we received a 3 billion yen upfront fee in regards to as announced in the press release under the protein degraders deal that was shown. And again, this will be recorded in the third quarter revenue numbers. We're also expecting some additional new licensing collaboration deals to be announced, which will account for about 5.5 to 6.5 billion yen that should close here in the second half of 2023. We are additionally expecting about 1.5 to 2 billion yen in additional milestones coming from existing contracts that should be reached here in the second half of 2023. And then additionally, another 1.5 to 2 billion yen in the others category, which is largely encompassing R&D support fees, technology license fees, etc., coming from existing partners that we have. which puts us in a forecast range of, again, about 13 to 15 billion yen on the peptidine side for fiscal year 2023. On the slide 7, on the radiopharmaceutical business side, or the PDO radiopharma side, again, a key metric is keeping this company profitable while we grow it for the future. Demand for these diagnostics have not yet returned to pre-COVID levels, and therefore that remains a slight headwind to the overall forecast for the entirety of the year. But we've seen, as noted here, positive year-over-year growth from the launch of the RIAT MIBG product, which was launched actually in 2021. And demand or sales of this product continue to grow, which we believe is certainly extremely positive for us. We also have had the approval of the Tecne pyrophosphate kit in an indication expansion into multiple cancers, which we're looking forward to the impact of. And we also have been applied in April of this year for indication expansion for the Amyvid Alzheimer's diagnostic kit, which we expect to receive in the later half, the second half year of 2023. And of course, as we are also expecting in the Japan market to see the approval of Eisai's A-beta Alzheimer's therapeutic antibody, with the likelihood of that being approved in the later half of 2023 also, which will certainly lead to greater use of these Alzheimer's diagnostic kits. We continue to have a variety of partnering discussions ongoing to bring certain products into the Japan market using PDR radiopharma, both across therapeutics and also across the diagnostic space. At this stage, I'd say it's largely a buyer's market for us. There are a growing number of exciting products being developed in the US, in Europe by a number of companies that are, of course, looking to subsequently launch those products into the Japan market. And I think we stand or sit in a very enviable position to be able to consider one of the best products to be bringing into the Japan market. So we look forward to that being a significant growth driver, of course, for the PDR radiopharma business going forward. The business, as everyone can tell from this depiction, is largely produces around 4 billion yen or so per quarter, with it growing slightly quarter to quarter. And we're expecting the full year forecast, of course, is unchanged with about 16 to 17 billion yen forecast for the 2023 fiscal year at current. On slide 8 is just the consolidated balance sheet and financial status. There are not any significant changes of note compared to fiscal year 2022 or from our first quarter earnings release. And so I won't make any specific mentions here. And on slide 9 is just a depiction of consolidated cash flow. We ended the second quarter, I guess of note, is we ended the second quarter with roughly 11.2 billion yen in cash or cash equivalents. So in section 2, I'd just like to briefly highlight some of the updates that we've had to date, and also provide some comments on where we see the company going forward. So on slide 11 is in the, or to date, I guess, in the first half of 2023, we've seen 2 new programs enter the clinic. The first was Amylit, taking our GHR antagonist peptide. This was announced, of course, in June of 2023 when it had initiated a phase 1 trial of this compound. Very excited about this program and the potential for this in the market, and very much looking to see this progress going forward with Amylit. We also, in July, so this kind of fell outside of the first half, but speaking to date, that MSD or Merck, US Merck-based Merck, announced the initiation of a phase 1 trial for a peptide therapeutic that was discovered utilizing our PDPS technology platform, which we had licensed to them in 2018. And this is really, I just want to stress, I think this is a very monumental achievement for PeptiDream. I think everyone is quite aware, or all of the attendees are quite aware of this PDPS technology licensing model that we've used. And we've licensed this platform out to 11 companies, I believe, to date. And we've attained, of course, significant, say, licensing fees and or maintenance fees from this effort. More than $200 million to date in licensing fees have come. But that was really only one part of that business initiative, right? Was the license income. The real downstream was actually that we were in line to receive milestones in royalties on sales of any products they found using our PDPS technology. Really the second core part or key part of that kind of business model. And so this announcement from Merck is the first product, therapeutic peptide arising from that efforts for us to actually finally see moving into the clinic. And as everyone is aware, we're not informed until it actually starts a phase 1. The structure of those licensed PDPS technology license agreements is such that we do not know what products or programs they have ongoing until they actually enter the clinic, to which we are then informed of that. And so we're quite excited with this. One, it's the first one, so it's really nice to be able to actually show that we have known for a while that a number of products are moving forward. So I'm quite happy to be able to highlight this. Additionally, I think we're anticipating, of course, more products to be entering the clinic in the future from our PDPS technology licensees. And that's significant upside that maybe is underappreciated in the overall PeptiDream business structure, I think, today. There is no specific news on what, so it's a macrocyclic peptide, therapeutic peptide. Merck, publicly, we have not disclosed, of course, what the target is or what the indication is. And so we are limited to what we can say to what was described in the press release. And Merck, of course, like any of our big pharma partners, is fully in control of all development of the program. And so we will update the market as we are able to do and as the program advances. In the item number 2 is progress across our RI PDC programs. So one highlight in the first half of 2023 was, of course, as I earlier mentioned, the nomination of development candidate for the Glypican-3 program for the potential treatment of hepatocellular carcinoma, so liver cancer. Glypican-3 is actually expressed in about 80% of hepatocellular carcinoma patients. So it has very broad expression pattern across a large patient population here. And so this compound really has the potential to potentially treat a large number of patients. It is extremely exciting. Reid, of course, wants to move this program forward very quickly, in part because of the data we've seen to date. And as I already mentioned, it's already ongoing in human imaging studies. So it's not officially a phase 1, it's preclinical human imaging studies, which is something that can be done with these RI PDC products to actually get a very good idea about how well the compound will localize to tumors and likely be effective once you actually take this into clinical testing. And these early studies, the early human imaging studies, have the potential to drastically, say, shorten the development timelines of such products. So very much looking forward to additional news out of Reid Bio in regards to this program and also our first development candidate program that we announced in the end of 2022. Additionally, in-house, we saw really strong progress across a number of multiple programs. We haven't disclosed what any of those programs are specifically, but I think that's something that we anticipate, of course, changing here in the later half of this year, where we intend to initially announce the first clinical candidate from our in-house pipeline, which is a growing pipeline of products to which we intend, of course, to fully keep Japan rights to these programs and potentially license out ex-Japan rights to partners. But at this stage, everything is kind of options are on the table for us in regards to this program. And again, I think this is something for the lead program we'll announce later in the year. So please look forward to that. Additional milestones that have been achieved in item 3 here, so that we were able to announce was a lead criteria milestone for a multifunctional peptide conjugate that originated under Santen, our relationship with Santen, which was announced earlier in the year in January. And then we also achieved a lead criteria milestone with the Bayer relationship that was announced in April 2023. Both of these exciting advancements of those respective programs. As everyone probably can understand, there's additional milestones that were actually met in the first half of the year that we were not able to announce. Some of these milestones or achievements we're able to announce, and others we are not able to announce. So this is just highlighting these 2 specific cases. On item number 4 was initial new collaboration deals that were formed here. Ono Pharmaceutical, which was announced in March of 2023, was a new research collaboration for multiple drug discovery targets. We had previously licensed the PDPS technology platform to Ono in 2021, and we didn't, unlike many of the pharmaceutical partners that or large pharma partners that we have, in most cases we had a research collaboration first, and then that resulted in a license second. In the case of Ono Pharmaceutical, we actually started with the license in 2021, and then now have expanded that license into an actual research collaboration also to progress multiple targets in parallel. So I think that's an exciting advance. And then additionally, as I mentioned here, in July was the deal with Astellas around these targeted protein degraders, which I'll touch on in a subsequent slide here. I just want to say also in regards to Astellas, this was a 2-target deal that paid us 3 billion yen in the upfront, which is another validation, I think, of the increasing financials we're seeing across all of our out-licensing / collaboration deals that we've done in the last couple of years now. And is an exciting advance for us to be able to command significantly higher financials across doing these type of projects. On the last is the line 5, as I kind of touched on, is the Techne-Phytate kit, which is actually a spec product in the indication expansion that was approved for additional diagnosis of various tumors, which was in 2023. And then, of course, the Amyvid Alzheimer's diagnostic kit, which we applied for indication expansion in April of 2023. Yeah. On slide 12 is just the program numbers. The program numbers listed on the table to the left are as of the end of June 2023. Hence the nice red asterisk next to the 5 in the phase 1, of which, if we include the Merck recently announced Merck program, that would be 6 as of to date, now in phase 1 clinical studies. We have continued to see good advancement across the pipeline, and I think in the later half of 2023 here, we expect certainly additional programs to elevate into the lead to GLP tox and also GLP tox to IND stage. So very good progress, of course, or continued progress, of course, the entirety of our preclinical development portfolio. And on the right is just some of the things to highlight, but I've touched on all of these thus far. On slide 13 is just a brief on the application of using macrocyclic peptides in protein degrader molecules. So on the left side is kind of what has been referred to as PROTAC, or a class of molecules that actually utilize the ubiquitin proteasome system to basically induce the targeted degradation of your specific target of interest. And this type of molecule is actually used to degrade specifically intracellular targets that would exist inside cells of interest. And basically what it is, it's a bifunctional molecule, as is meant to be shown in the picture, where on one side of the molecule, shown here in orange, would be the macrocyclic peptide binder that would bind specifically to the target that you would like to degrade. And then on the right side of this, represented in green, is a molecule that binds to an E3 ubiquitin ligase. Once this bifunctional molecule recruits the ubiquitin ligase to the protein target that you'd like to degrade, that results in actually ubiquitination of the protein target or target protein of interest here, which then results in its subsequent degradation in the proteasome. There are a number of companies working in this space. Arvinas, Chimera, C4 in the US are kind of three of the, say, more well-known, I guess I would say, looking into these mechanisms. And thus far, largely it's been small molecule target protein binding ligands on the left side, plus small molecule E3 ubiquitin ligase binding molecules on the right side. So two combinations of two small molecules. Some of those programs have had some challenges, and we in part believe that actually the target binding ligand part of this equation is quite critical to the success of these. So some of the targets that we'd like to degrade, or that the industry would like to degrade, are not so amenable to a small molecule binder that would have the desired potency and or selectivity. And therefore, we think there's a significant opportunity for using a macrocyclic peptide as a replacement here, due to the fact that it can have significantly higher binding affinity and potency, but also significantly higher selectivity, so that you're really just degrading the target protein of interest and not like family members or similar family members that would give you off-site toxicity or off-target toxicity or other limiting factors. Which is kind of a well-known challenge at current in this kind of degrader space. On the right side is something that has moved from just the ubiquitin ligase concept of the PROTAC to what is referred to as LITAC, which is basically using a molecule to an LTR binding ligand, which conceptually it does something very similar. It's just instead of sending the target protein to the proteasome, this sends it to the lysosome for degradation. And this can actually be used for extracellular proteins that you'd like to degrade, and or membrane proteins that you'd like to degrade as a space. So going forward, again, I think there's a significant opportunity to use macrocyclic peptides in either of these type of compounds or modalities that would give significant benefit over the attempts at small molecules that we are seeing to date. And so this is also, this overall theme is a part of what we signed up or collaborating with Astellas on. And we look forward to being able to announce more in regards to this going forward. On slide 14 is just to briefly ESG efforts. I think the team, I'm extremely happy. The team at PeptiDream just continues to do an outstanding job of really a focus on sustainability and the ESG metrics. We continue to see our overall ratings increase year over year. And again, I think that's really a testament to the team here doing an outstanding job in this area. And we continue to see inclusion, of course, then as a constituent of both the FTSE4Good index, the FTSE Blossom Japan index for the third consecutive year. And so, you know, it's a very nice metric for us to continue to track in that regard. On last is slide 15. So looking at the overall, say, future or midterm to long-term growth of the company. As everyone aware, since becoming the CEO in 2017, you know, we grew over the first 4 or 5 years to actually getting to a company that was stabilized around this 10 billion in yen revenue as kind of a solid base for future growth, in which we maintained, of course, profitability during the entirety of that time. With the acquisition of PDR Pharma, of course, we've seen in fiscal 2022 a jump now to around 27 billion yen in overall company revenue. And our next step is, of course, as anticipated for this year, is to get to the 30 billion yen mark for the company. The next shift or the next stage would be to grow from the 30 billion yen revenue, annual revenue, into the 50 billion yen annual revenue mark, which we anticipate occurring here over the next 3 to 4 years. And then, of course, once we have built that foundation, then growing more larger to the overall goal of 100 billion yen per year in revenue. In our efforts to reach this next stage of having or attaining 50 billion yen in revenue, there's a focus on one, just simply improving and expanding the number of internal programs that we have that we can actually out-license as clinical candidates to grow revenue and advance those products. We also see the increasing likelihood, of course, of now higher milestones related to programs advancing into the clinic, and from phase 1 into phase 2 into phase 3, of course, should have a significant impact on our ability to grow revenues. And then additionally, of course, I think maybe less associated with the 50 billion yen step, but certainly with the 100 billion yen step is the royalties from launched products is certainly going to be a key contributor to our long-term growth. And of course, we expect PDR Pharma to be a main contributor or an extremely important contributor to the company's overall growth. So I think it's really important for me to maybe stress that the real focus of PeptiDream, of course, is to continue to get as many shots on goal as possible for us to continue to expand the number of programs that move into the clinic and to continue to champion those programs. And that's what we expect to see over the next number of years is a large increase in the number of products actually moving forward. In addition to that, I think what's important, unlike most biopharmaceutical companies or biotech companies, PeptiDream is not dependent on any one of these programs, right? That is the model that we've created is basically a risk hedge by having multiple shots on goal and having those multiple shots on goal be partnered with a variety of different companies so that we're never ever dependent on one single program for our growth, profitability, and or future potential. So I'm extremely pleased with, one, the progress in the first half of 2023, and I very much love where the company is going for the rest of 2023 and beyond. And so a very exciting time for us. On the last slide is just on the left side is just some of the IR schedule for the remaining part of 2023. There's a number of additional meetings I think that are not captured here, but these are some of the major items on our schedule. On the future catalysts, of course, on the other side is when we are informed or when we are able to, we will certainly be announcing any progress for any of our clinical programs. In the second bucket, the initiative of new clinical programs, I think the Glypican-3 program, again, which is already in human imaging studies, we're looking for that program to advance into clinical trials here. We're also expecting the first development candidate to be announced from our Novartis collaboration on our PDCs, which should give us another shot on goal. We have a number of programs in that collaboration. This will be the first one to see move forward. We haven't talked about it as much, but I think we've made really exciting progress around our myostatin inhibitor internally. And just to briefly comment, we had initially in the past considered the myostatin inhibitor with probably more of a focus around DMD. We have had suggested in the past, and I think there's a little bit of a shift. Myostatin inhibitors are gaining a lot of traction in the potential use for obesity, in other areas in which you want to gain back muscle mass and muscle function, and seem to be a very powerful combination potentially with the GLP-1 and GIP dual agonists that you see out of Lilly and Novo Nordisk and Pfizer. So this is actually a really growing or exciting trend for myostatin inhibitors. We think this project is potentially ideally positioned to gain on that momentum. It's something we'll probably likely talk about more in our R&D day later in the year, and certainly make announcements as we get closer here. Also great progress across our oligo PDC programs, which we have ongoing with Takeda, Alnylam, and another company. And we look forward to kind of the first development candidate to come out of those relationships and certainly more to come. So for very exciting progress across the oligo PDC space. And also our cytotoxic PDC programs, I think, are also making very exciting progress. So looking forward to be able to announce something in that respect in the near future. And of course, we have a number of other programs with 127 programs ongoing across the company. There's a number of other programs that we look forward to being able to announce on as soon as we are able or allowed to by the partner company. Remaining catalysts, I think, as earlier mentioned, certainly for the second half of this year, we're expecting some new out-licensing and collaboration agreements that we've been working on for some time here to finally close and make those announcements. We're expecting some very impactful milestones to be achieved here in the later half of the year. So looking forward to announce on those. And as I mentioned, Modulus is, there's significant interest in the KIT inhibitor we have partnered with Modulus, and looking forward to potentially announce something around that program as it seeks to move into clinical development. And then, of course, development of new radiopharmaceuticals in Japan through the Peiyo Pharma in both in-licensing and or new partnerships with companies outside Japan looking to bring their products into the Japan market. And so with that, I think it's look forward to a very exciting second half of 2023. And I think we're well on our way to meeting guidance for the year, certainly on track in all regards.